Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hurry, turn your headphones up. Because I am about to put it in your ear holes. My name is Cy, and you're getting locked in the Padded Cell. Yes, the Padded Cell is that podcast that you tune into, created by you and put together by me, your host, Cy. And today, we finally have an in-studio sit-down with none other than Kyle of Riverwind, the sports wizard. We'll be stopping by. NFL fans, for all you fantasy football fans, this is the segment that you have been waiting for. This is the one you want to listen to, all right? If you like the NBA and you're a sucker for the free agency going on right now, then you're going to want to listen to this segment as well, okay? One quick little thought that I want to leave you guys with, see if you guys have any, other opinions that you guys want to express to us. Go ahead and check us out on thepaddedcell101.wordpress.com. Leave us a message. Hit us up on the Facebook. You look us up on the YouTube, The Padded Cell Podcast. All right. Now, are you familiar with the Arthur Ashe Award? Do you know what that is? If you haven't heard about it by now, then I don't know where you've been, but on ESPN.com, it's kind of defined and put together. It says, the Arthur Ashe Award is one of the most prestigious in sports. Recipients reflect the spirit of Arthur Ashe, possessing strength in the face of adversity, courage in the face of peril, and willingness to stand up for their beliefs no matter what the cost. The award is inspired by the life of Arthur Ashe and the life that he lived, using his fame and stature to advocate for human rights, although at the time those positions may have been unpopular and were often controversial. Have you ever heard of Lauryn Hill? No, not the rapper. Lauryn Hill, she passed away. I believe it was April 13th. I could be mistaken. It might be the 12th. I'll look back on it. But the ESPN put out a really touching story. They have a video that you can go see right now. And it's about Lauryn Hill and her. She died of cancer. She had brain cancer. And she was very young. She was 19 years old, and she was a basketball player. This is also on ESPN. This is, I think, the morning that she had passed away. It says, quote, Lauryn Hill, the inspiring college basketball player at Mount St. Joseph University, died Friday morning after a battle with brain cancer. Her life was short, but the list of people the 19-year-old inspired is long. The article goes on to have it has a quote of Lauryn Hill. It says, quote, when you die, it does not mean that you lose to cancer. You beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and the manner in which you leave, end quote. That was Lauryn Hill saying that. The article then goes on to say, Lauryn never let this terrible disease define her. She didn't let it control whether she lived out her dream of playing college ball, and she fought to live past what doctors originally told her she would. Lauryn left her mark on this world by showing people what it really meant to never give up. So Lauryn Hill, they were thinking about giving the Arthur Ashe Award to Lauryn Hill, or to, I guess, in her memory and whatnot, because she had passed away. That was in April. So, and then a month later, Caitlyn Jenner happens. ESPN has an article where it says, quote, Jenner transitioned to Caitlyn Jenner on March 15th, according to an interview with Vanity Fair, which will appear in July. And then the ESPYs are coming out. And ESPN is giving the Arthur Ashe Award to Caitlyn Jenner at the ESPYs. Originally thought they were going to give it to Lauryn Hill. And then that article goes on to say, Bruce Jenner has received many accolades over the years for being one of the greatest Olympians of our time, but the ESPYs are honored to celebrate Bruce becoming Caitlyn. Man, does that sound interesting to you? It's like you go to where it's hot. You go to where the topics that are hot. I understand that in the world of entertainment, but damn, that seemed a little shady. Does it to you, though? That's what I want to know. So hit us up on thepaddedcell101.wordpress.com. Let us know what you think. Are you a Lauryn Hill, or do you think you're more of a Caitlyn Jenner? Who deserves this award, this Arthur Ashe Award? Maybe Bruce Jenner deserves the award. Have we forgotten about him? Maybe we should throw Bruce Jenner in there. But if we do that, then it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little uneven. And then the guy and the Bruce and the Caitlyn person kind of have two in it out of... Anyways, forget it. Keeping it in the sports world, though, we are live in studio with your boy, my boy, everybody's boy, the commissioner of my fantasy league. He's also a featured writer and contributor to the Padded Cell. He's going to be writing up some stuff this season. I'm excited to see that and posting it up to the page, so be on the lookout for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Kyle of Riverwind, the sports wizard. Say what's up to the people, man.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
Yeah, man, this is a big shout out to our boy Brando. We wanted to hit you up, man. Make sure you listen to this and take notes. Anyways.
He's going to need to beat me in fantasy this year.
Yes, very special episode we have today, solely on football. Maybe we'll dabble into some other things, but I definitely want to focus on some football because it's been a long time, and I'm having withdrawals.
Best time of the year, man, beginning of football season.
Off season's pretty cool though because there's a lot that happens.
Oh, for sure.
And it's damn, it gives you so much to talk about. One thing I even write that down in there, but one thing that I love that's kind of, I don't love, but I'm kind of interested in seeing. I like seeing the Rex Ryan circus. To me, as entertainment. So I want to see what Buffalo's doing this year as well too. That's going to be an interesting situation there.
Yeah, I mean Rex is always a fun coach. I'm excited to see what he's got for Shady McCoy. I mean, obviously.
That's right. I forgot that he's
right.
over there now too. See, there's so much going on over there.
Yeah, man. So many. And I mean, obviously, he's never been an offensive.
Sammy Watkins is over there.
Sammy Watkins.
All right,
now,
that's cool. Who's their QB?
They got a bag of throwing the ball, but
who? I don't remember.
I think right now it's not EJ Manuel. He's riding the bench. Is it Ryan Fitzpatrick? It's Matt Castle.
Matt Castle. Good Lord.
That's rough, right?
Yeah.
I guess it could be worse, but it could definitely be better too.
Yes, that's true. Speaking of QBs, and it's kind of on there, Tim Heaney from USA Today Fantasy Sports. He says something similar to the fact of a QB in Chip Kelly's system deserves to be monitored, and I agree.
I agree with that.
But Sam Bradford, though, man, I'm not sold on Sammy at all, bro.
I'll say this about Sam Bradford.
He can't stay healthy?
He has always flashed ability.
Okay.
He's always flashed ability. But the obvious question, and it's not going to be a huge part of their offense, I don't think, with him there, but he's going to have to run some read option.
Yes.
And the question is, in a Chip Kelly run offense with the hurry up and a little bit of read option built in, a lot of play action, what are the chances that a guy who's been hurt that much in his career is going to be able to stay on the field? Because you know he's going to take some shots.
Yeah.
And if he does, they're not in a great spot.
I know a guy who's willing to take a shot or two.
Who's that?
Tim Tebow.
Don't come to me with that.
Bro, he's got a better postseason record than Bradford.
Whatever, man. Guy completes like 40% of his passes.
Like
I don't want to hear about Tebow,
you don't like
man.
Tebow?
I'm not a Tebow guy, not at all.
Man, I was gonna.
For me, I want my quarterback to be able to throw the ball.
he could do stuff with it.
Yeah, he throws his left hand as well as I do. The only problem is I'm right-handed. But I mean, man. I mean, like whatever. Mark Sanchez is still backing up in Philly. If and when Sanchez played last year, when Foles got hurt, he was a decent play. He wasn't top 5 fantasy quarterback.
No.
But yeah, what Tim Heaney USA Today said, I think is a good observation, which is that if you put any quarterback in Chip Kelly's system, there's somebody who's going to put up at least decent stat production, just based on the system that they run. I think we talked about this some last year on a podcast when we talked about Mark Sanchez.
Yeah.
I don't think Mark Sanchez is a good quarterback.
No.
But you give him simple reads and tell him to throw the ball to the open guy. I mean, he can get that done. And I think Sam Bradford can do the same thing. If Bradford's healthy, okay, I'm going to make a big statement. You ready? If Sam Bradford's healthy, he's a top 10 fantasy quarterback.
All right.
Only because of the Eagles. I'm not saying I love Sam Bradford, but you put him in that system,
okay.
You give him open reads, open looks, and get a lot of space for his wide receivers.
Oh, man.
I think anybody can make those throws, including Sam Bradford.
Okay.
Now, of course,
can't wait.
The health is the thing, right? The health is the thing.
Me too. Snap.
Right, yeah, and I'm not predicting he's going to be top 10 because it's tough to rely on him to be on the field. But if he does, I'm putting on the books right now. He's a top 10 quarterback.
You heard it here first on the Padded Cell, man. Go check it out. The Padded Cell 101.wordpress.com. Actually thinking about the changes in rosters or not. Jimmy Graham in Seattle.
Sure.
To me that's awesome. But they're not a pass-heavy team in Seattle.
No, and that's the thing.
So it's but then at the same time, Marshawn Lynch was going to retire this year. He was gonna.
There was talk.
You show him a couple dollar bills and some Skittles, and he's like, "Hold on, I might stay."
Right.
And then all of a sudden,
somebody changes a lot of things.
Yes, but I remember somebody saying like, "Yeah, I can really consider him a top receiver. Like he's gonna get all sorts of catches." But I don't think that was before in his situation. But that's when you got Drew Brees throwing you the ball.
Right. Now, one thing I'll say works in Graham's favor in Seattle is that there's nobody to throw the ball to in Seattle.
Yeah, exactly.
And there hasn't been for a couple of years.
No.
I mean, they've stumbled on a couple guys here. They had Golden Tate, but Golden Tate wasn't great until he got away from Seattle. You know what I mean?
Didn't a veteran just join that team like late in the season last year? I can't remember who it was.
I don't know. But we'll see what happens with Graham. It's. Yeah. I think he's valued pretty properly. In most mock drafts, I see him going like mid-30s. Early 30s, sometimes into the 40s. I wouldn't go earlier than that on him, just because of the kind of the way the offense is structured in Seattle. But he's definitely someone that can make me my words later. He's got the talent. You know when you throw him the ball, he's going to catch passes.
Exactly. He's tall,
He's
bro.
a freak. He jumps. He's got huge hands.
Like that height. He's gonna
tall,
jump over
fast.
every...
He's always a mismatch no matter who he's up against.
Yeah,
on the field.
man. What do you think about Russell Wilson?
I'm a huge Russell Wilson.
I think he's awesome. I love Russell Wilson.
I'm a huge Russell, and I'll tell you what I love about Russell Wilson the most is that he's a guy who puts up consistent production in the ground game, but he rarely exposes himself to injury. He does a great job of getting out of bounds, sliding, getting down, avoiding the big hit. And, most of the time with mobile quarterback, you think back to Michael Vick back in his heyday. You think to RG3 now. Those guys are off the field half the time because they're getting destroyed.
Yep.
Russell Wilson does a great job of creating space, getting yards, and getting down.
Yep.
And when a quarterback can produce that consistently in the ground game, I think he's always got a pretty high floor. So, Russell's not a guy who's likely to carry you with 30-point games, but he's also not going to kill you with 6-point games.
Exactly, yeah. I loved him, bro. I loved using him in fantasy.
Very consistent.
Sure.
I'm a Russell Wilson fan.
I like him a lot. That's why I think Jimmy Graham in there is going to actually be a really, really... I think he's gonna shape that team to look a little bit differently this year.
Could be right.
They're still gonna be. I think they'll still be successful. I think they'll try a couple new things that we didn't see before with Seattle, but they might not be so run heavy too. It just is gonna be interesting.
It's hard to picture and it's hard to imagine with a guy who's as much of a beast as Marshawn is, but every running back breaks down at some point.
Yeah.
And when that happens for Seattle and Marshawn, where are they going to turn? At that point, they're going to start throwing the ball a little more. And Marshawn's getting up around 30
I think that's
now.
exactly what it is. I think they were already thinking he was going to retire after this year. So they were looking, it's okay, we got to change some things around. Maybe a little bit of this team's identity is going to have to change.
We got to start redirecting some stuff. No, I agree.
What other situations look different this year? Yeah, Buffalo looked at. Eagles would look at.
I'll admit, I'm a little bit of a homer here.
Oh, yes. How can I almost forget about yes.
Yeah. I'm excited for what I think is going to happen in Tampa.
Absolutely. There's going to be a shortage on crab legs in this bitch.
I'm okay with that. Jameis Winston can eat all the damn crab he wants to. I don't care. Stay away from the ladies.
Stay away, bro.
Stick with your girl.
Do not Big
Eat
Bennett.
as much crab as you want.
Do not Big Bennett.
That's right. Don't go Big Ben. Stay out of trouble, which I honestly think he'll do.
Nah, he'll be fine.
But
I think he's fine. I think he got the stupidity out of him. You know what I mean? I think everybody has a little bit. Everybody has a couple ounces of stupid in them. And then we go through some people kind of like spread it out throughout their lifetime. Some people do it all in one shot.
Drop it all in one. Right.
I think he did it all in one shot, and he survived. Honestly, he paid for it in the championship game, and then now he can move on. I think it's over.
I think you're right. When you listen to him in interviews and you hear reports from the team, it sounds like he's focused on football. He's one of those who's the first guy in, he's the last guy out. He's got the brains for it. He's got the physical tools. Now, what I will say, with a guy who's as confident as he is, I expect Winston to throw a ton of interceptions this year. But I also expect him to put up a lot of production. Now, he's going to make a lot of mistakes and then work on those in the offseason and get better next year. But he's also, I think you're going to see Mike Evans, and I'll give you a name, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, second-year tight end out of Washington. Vincent Jackson, I'm not so sure about. He's definitely getting up there in years. And I'll give you one more name in Tampa to look for, and this is strictly for PPR leagues. I wouldn't recommend it for non-PPR leagues. Charles Sims, second-year running back. Not much of a runner, to be honest. Honestly, he drives me crazy when you hand him the ball. But he's a great pass catcher, and if they want to distribute to running backs a lot this year, which I think they do,
I was gonna say
I think he could catch a lot of passes, and he could be a guy.
Sproles type of
absolutely. And if Tampa ends up in a lot of throwing situations, Jameis threw a lot to his running backs.
Bro,
Jameis threw to his running backs a lot in college. So he could be a guy who sneaks up on people.
This through. So I have faith, bro. I have faith that they're gonna look nice in Tampa.
Then again, as a admitted Bucs fan, I've been optimistic for like 3 years in a row, and it hasn't gone
on all the time. Bro, last season was horrible. Like there were times that I was just watching. I'm like, oh my, only Tampa Bay fans get shit on like that. No, that's not true. I've seen some Eagles.
No, I hear you though. We lost some weird games last year. We never had a franchise quarterback. The closest we ever had was Josh Freeman, and that guy's out of the league. You know what I mean? He was drafted 6 or 7 years ago. Guy's out of the league. So if that's the best quarterback in our history, which you can make
Brad
an argument
Johnson?
he is, right? Yeah, like Brad Johnson. Like
Who's that guy?
He was a career backup most places he played. He comes to Tampa. He's the best quarterback in the history of our team.
Oh man,
that's not a great sign. So if
Allstott,
Jameis can be right, yeah, Mike Allstott worked back in the WD-40 days. But no, if Jameis can put it together, I think that offense can put up some big numbers across the board in fantasy. So
when you consider wide receivers, like what criteria do you somewhat use? For me, a big deal of it is like who's throwing that guy the ball. Obviously,
true.
I'll let like good guys in my head just go. because I don't think Andy Dalton
like a Sammy Watkins type.
Exactly. Because I don't think it's just that can make it or break it for me. Sure. I see wide receivers going in first rounds, and for me, I know it sounds stupid, but in the back of my head, I'm like, no way. But that's because I'm used to getting like early picks. Honestly, for the past 4 or 5 years straight, I've gotten first, second, or fourth.
First, second, or fourth.
With picks.
That's true. You've always drafted early.
Yeah.
That's right.
I've never had.
You've never had like that late first round pick or that mid second round pick.
So that could have a lot to do with it too. But
for me, I like trends with wide receivers. So I tend to stay away from older receivers, even if they've put up numbers in the past. A good example is Vincent. We talked about Vincent Jackson. Even as a Bucs fan, I worry a little bit about Vincent. He's in a situation where Mike Evans is very likely the number 1 receiver in Tampa now.
Yeah.
You've got another young guy that we already talked about in Austin Seferian-Jenkins, another young guy in Charles Sims who's probably going to catch a lot of passes. VJ's like 33, 34 years old now. Things start dropping off. So for me, age is a big factor. I try to stay away from the older guys for the most part. I also like guys with reliable hands.
Okay.
I don't like receivers that drop a lot of balls.
Okay, yeah.
Because all that has to happen is
playmakers.
A few plays go bad. A few important passes get dropped and quarterback goes away from that guy, and the whole dynamic for that guy in the offense can change.
So then this is perfect. Odell Beckham Jr. Do you like him?
Man, that's a tough question.
I hate Eli, bro. There's no way. I don't. That guy's a flash in the pan for me. He had his moment. That's it.
Really?
Yeah, it's over.
I will say I really like Odell Beckham. I don't know that I really like him where he's going. In most situations, I see Odell Beckham as a late first round, early second round pick. That's where I'm seeing him going in mock drafts.
Late first.
And that's tough, man. Like that's a lot of value to put on a guy, like you said, who's got Eli Manning throwing him the ball.
Late first round. Who's 10 in that list overall?
Well, so right now, everybody, we're taking a look at USA Today Fantasy Football Rankings 2015 as kind of a baseline for comparison purposes. And a perfect example of a guy who they've got going late. A couple guys they've got going late in the first round. I'm gonna throw some names at you. You got Adrian Peterson. You got Le'Veon Bell. You got, you got the 2 big quarterbacks, Luck and Rodgers. You got Calvin Johnson. You got Jeremy Hill. There's a handful of guys.
They all come after him.
And they all come after Odell Beckham.
That's crazy.
That's tough
for
me,
bro.
That's tough for me.
That's ridiculous.
Like,
all the Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
All right. So your pick comes up. You're late in that first round, and you have Odell Beckham Jr. Right. You're gonna take him before you take Aaron Rodgers?
Like I would have trouble taking Odell. I mean, here's the going back to the USA Today rankings. Here are the guys right after Odell: Eddie Lacy, AP, Le'Veon Bell, Luck and Rodgers, Calvin Johnson, Jeremy Hill, Arian Foster, Marshawn Lynch.
Good Lord, bro.
That's 10 guys, 9 or 10 that I would take before Odell
Beckham. Absolutely.
The next one on that list is Mike Evans, and that's where it gets a little. I would take Odell Beckham before Mike Evans. I like Mike Evans, but I'd take Odell Beckham before him.
Yeah,
Randall Cobb, Antonio Brown. I can't believe Antonio Brown's that far down.
Yeah, see that's so weird to me. To me, it's him. No,
Julio
Jones, bro. I love Julio Jones. Him and Antonio Brown are like super high on my radar. Like that. Oh wow.
I would have trouble taking Odell Beckham over any of those guys. And another thing that you got to think about with the Giants is they've got Victor Cruz coming back.
That's true.
Odell Beckham put up all his numbers last year with Victor Cruz hurt.
Yeah.
You bring Victor Cruz back. You give Ruben Randle another year to get better. I don't know if. Now, I'm not saying I don't like Odell.
I think Victor Cruz will end up being a good flex player.
I would have trouble taking Odell Beckham in the top 20.
So we agree.
So I like Odell Beckham, but like all things with fantasy, it's compared to what other people.
I don't like Eli.
Right.
See, that's where the quarterback broke it for me in that situation. So sorry, Odell.
No, I hear you. That's
later, bro.
We're on the same page.
I'm picking 10 other people before I pick you.
Yep.
I just might get Mike Evans before I get you.
Mike Evans before Odell Beckham.
I don't know. I think it's just because of
opportunity and quarterback situation.
I'd be like, I got to get him because if I don't, Kyle will. All right, so I want to give a big shout out to Kyle of Riverwind, the sports wizard. Got to tell the people where they can check you out, man.
Yeah, if you guys want to talk sports or hit me up with any questions, fantasy related, or just hear my stupid opinions on anything else, you can get me at kyle.horrocks. That's kyle.horrocks at yahoo.com. I'm also going to be doing some guest writing on the Potted Cells website this year. That's going to be fantasy football related, so keep an eye out there. And I'll definitely be back on the podcast soon. Thanks for having me, man.
Kyle of Riverwind, the sports wizard, thanks again for stopping by, man. We really appreciate it. We're not going to bore you guys with a crazy long outro. Just get in a YouTube search and like us on Facebook, The Padded Cell 101.wordpress.com or The Padded Cell Podcast. It's your boy Sick Asai with your boy Kyle of Riverwind, and we just put it in your ear hole. Catch you later, freaks.